Good morning, guys. Man, I hope you're all doing well. And hey, I just want to share a quick devotional thought from the book of Colossians with us today, just to kind of help us start our day. In Colossians 1, the Apostle Paul he gives us this amazing, beautiful picture of who Jesus is. And starting in verse 15, we find these words. He says that Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. He existed before anything was created and is supreme over all creation. For through him God created everything in the heavenly realms and on earth. He made the things we can see, the things we can't see, such as thrones and kingdoms and rulers and authorities in the unseen world. Everything was created through him and for him. He existed before anything else, and he holds all things together. Man, I love that passage, because Paul says Jesus reveals who God is. And once we see that, guys, there's no going back. The invisible, it becomes visible. And guys, I like how the Message version reads. It says we look at this sun and we see God's original purpose in everything created. And Paul says that Jesus, he's the one in control. That he's at the center of all things. Is that true for your life today? I mean, think about it. What controls you? And before you say nothing, all right, consider the way that we see control every single day. Like maybe you think about this COVID-19 season. We've certainly allowed all sorts of new policies, all sorts of new procedures to dictate our lives and control our actions. But perhaps if things were more normal, you might be the person that refuses to schedule anything on Saturdays so you can always watch your college football team play. Or maybe you're the person who tells everyone to watch out of my way. If I don't get at least 2 cups of coffee in the morning, you better be on your guard. And you guys know who you are. What controls you? What is it? And as you think about that, listen, only one person was ever meant to have control of your life. Only one was ever meant to have dominion over all things. And that's Jesus. Paul says that he's before all things. And in him, he is holding all things together. You see, Jesus, he has the whole world in his hands. And in his hands, it's the safest place to be. I mean, so what we can do is we can take whatever's broken in our lives and we can give it to Jesus and he'll restore it. Take whatever feels meaningless in the season and give it to Jesus and watch him fill it with his purpose. You see, when we gave our lives to Jesus, the brokenness that separated us from God, it was removed. Our relationship, it was restored with the Father. And Jesus, he presents us to God holy and blameless and without fault. And guys, if that feels hard to believe, listen, you're not alone. The church in Colossae needed the encouragement, needed the reminder. And that's why the Apostle Paul, he continues to write in verse 22. He says these words. He says, "Yet now he has reconciled you to himself through the death of Christ in his physical body. And as a result, he has brought you into his own presence. And you are holy. You are blameless as you stand before him without a single fault. But you must continue to believe this truth and stand firmly in it. Don't drift away from the assurance you received when you heard the good news." Because Jesus, he doesn't run out of grace for us. He knew everything we would ever do and still made a way for us to be reconciled to God. And guys, that's good news. So this morning, is there any part of your life where you're struggling to feel holy? Is there any part of your life where you don't really feel blameless? I want to challenge you. Bring it to God. Talk to him about that. I mean, ask God to tell you how he sees you. And guys, remember, no matter what, Jesus, he's holding all things together. All things. And that includes you. Amen?